I'll be speaking on Patel's governance, and it will be in two parts. The first part will be of around 30 to 35 minutes, in which I'll be speaking on Patel's municipal years that he began his career with from 1917 onwards. This will be the first part, and then in the second part, we will be speaking on or discussing the cooperative movement that he initiated, the trade union, the Amul, etc., movements that he began. So let me begin with Patel's municipal years. That was the beginning in 1917. Actually, that was the period when Gandhi had joined a year back in the Indian politics, and he was in the process of learning the Indian political society, the society, its history, etc. And then gradually he was in search of the young new leadership. Patel, of course, from that standard was not young as Jawaharlal Nehru used to be. Born in 1875-76, officially 31st October 1875, but unofficially his biographer says that he was born in around April last May first week 1876. So by the time he joined politics, he was a very successful lawyer. By the time he joined politics in 1917, we find that he was already 35 plus years old, or more in fact. 1875 to 1970 means 32 years, etc. So comparatively in that way, the others were much younger, like Nehru or Rajendra Prasad, etc. The leadership which took over subsequently in independent India in different posts as president or prime minister. He was a member of the Gujarat Sabha, a club, and then a successful lawyer. He was invited to challenge the newly appointed municipal commissioner, Mr. Shildi, because Shildi had a reputation of being an ICS and arrogant, not listening to the Indian leaders, not listening to the problems of the Indian society. And then we find that just a year or two before, the Bombay presidency had changed the municipal acts in which the ICS officers were appointed as the municipal commissioners. So the idea was the income tax or the monetary financial part to be under the control of the Indian civil servants officers, ICS officers. Then even the municipality which had come under the Chelmsford reforms after 1917, which had made the electoral politics more democratic. Even that was the British government, the colonial state tried to control it in 1917 onwards after the enactment of the laws. So to neutralize ICS officer, at that time the chairman of the Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation, because he was practicing lawyer in or barrister in Ahmedabad, Patel. So the chairman of the municipal board at that time thought that only one man who could neutralize or who could control or who could regulate the functioning and behavior of Mr. Shildi, the new commissioner, will be Patel. So he invited Patel to join the municipality, contest the by-election and join the municipality. Patel agreed on the ground that his lawyership, his practice won't get disturbed because this was the services which could be done even after practicing his law. And he was a very successful lawyer. So at that point of time in 1916 or 17, he was not in mood to leave his practice and not in mood to join the politics, practice and politics both. But unwillingly he agreed because the chairman of the municipal board of Ahmedabad was his friend. And these lawyers were the reputed Indian citizens of the time. They were in the civic leaderships or in the even emerging political leaderships. It was a time when Tilak was at his peak of politics, home rule movement, etc. didn't make much of a headway, but then the acts, 1917 acts or the announcements that were made by the colonial state, that was considered as a step ahead of what was existing before. So it was the result of the home rule movement. Remember in 1917, in pre-Gandhian years, the political movement was mostly in urban centers, state capitals, urban centers. It was yet to be a mass movement the way 1942 Quit India movement was there, or 1930 civil disobedience movement was there, or 1920 non-cooperation movement was there. The movements under the leadership of Gandhi, which subsequently it became once Gandhi took over. But before that, it was even difficult to gather 6,000 or 8,000 even signatures from the Indians. So colonial state was in absolute command of the situation by the time Patel joined politics. Politics means essentially the Ahmedabad municipality. So he contested by-election in 1917 January, but someone challenged it and the election was cancelled. Sooner in April, again a by-election situation emerged. He contested it and he won unopposed. In January, when he had contested the election, by-election, he had won by a single vote. But in April in 1917, he won uncontested, and he became subsequently the chairman of the sanitary committee, where the cleaning drive of Ahmedabad. Remember, it was old Ahmedabad. It was not a new Ahmedabad that we know today. Ahmedabad in 1917 was mostly confined to the old Fort Town area, where it was highly congested. Now let me point out what he did from 1917 once he became the chairman of the sanitary committee, and then he became the president of the Ahmedabad municipality, and he continued till 1928, when he resigned abruptly in around April, May, when one of his, he moved into the national politics. He had already moved into the national politics after 1920. He had become the Gujarat Pradesh Congress Committee president, of which he remained till almost 46, 47. He became the deputy prime minister. This is one that the sanitary, the clean, because the plague had broken out immediately after he took over in 1718. Plague in Ahmedabad. So that was one. The second was the water supply problem. Electricity that he provided, widened the road, then acquired first time the land of the peasants on a non-cooperative, for the cooperative society, created a cooperative housing society flats. So some of these were the new ideas that he applied. But most importantly, the method of his governance was, I will highlight here, couple which we must learn. He consulted the local citizens. He consulted the farmers before, took their consensus permissions before acquiring the land, persuaded the citizens of Ahmedabad to maintain cleanliness, Every day in the morning, while he used to go for a morning walk, he went into the locality, had a first-hand experience of the problems, civic problems of the residents, interacted with them, asked them what exactly was their problems, and even sought solution from them, what exactly they felt could be the solution. So this was one way of their governance. It means consultation, seeking suggestions from the residents, the citizens, making everyday visit. It means the responsibility, the challenges of governance. It was not a comfortable life. He had not accepted the responsibility for a name and sake or for a comfortable life. It was once he accepted the challenge, the problems were to be sorted out, the solutions were to be found, and he struggled till he finished for the solution. So this was something very interesting part of his governance. We saw in 27 again the flood came, unrelenting heavy rain for 48 hours. Many of the people were affected by it. One can imagine that he could have hidden himself. He would not have moved anywhere during the rainy season or rainy time. He could have hidden himself had some of his friends suggested to him that plague will affect you while you are moving around in the town and getting the septic tanks or the sewers cleaned. The plague will affect you. But he didn't listen to their advice. He said, I have taken a responsibility and that's my job to sort out the problem. I must have a upper hand control over the plague. And within 2 to 3 months, the plague was controlled. He mobilized the local citizens, the services of the municipality. But the third part, which I'll be speaking here, he took into confidence the officers, the staff of the municipality, which was new at that point of time, that the staff is being invited at his residence for a cup of tea. Till that time, no one had done it. The chairman of the sanitary committee inviting at his home the staff of the municipality, Ahmedabad municipality, and discussed with them the problems and the solutions that he sought from them. So that boosted the morale of the staff. First time it's happening. Similarly, he invited in another meeting the councillors of the municipality, talked to them, motivated them that they are the leaders, the civic leaders. It's their responsibility to sort out the problem, seek the solution from the residents themselves, because they have taken the responsibility. So building up confidence in his leadership by the staff, the civic staff of the municipality, that was something very interesting, that the leadership of his commanded the confidence of the staff. So the local political leadership, that is the councillors, the administrative staff, and the citizens of Ahmedabad municipality. So all the three segments of the Ahmedabad municipality were taken care of. Their confidence was won, and with their support he could sort out their problems. So plague was won when they sorted out, overcame the problem, made the cleanliness as their Swachhta mission, as his mission, then electrified the town. By 1927-28, when he resigned from the municipality, he moved into the more responsibility of Congress Parliamentary Board. Half of the Ahmedabad municipality was electrified. Then piped water. Imagine a city or a town, an industrial town, where the cotton textiles was factories were there in large number, and the laborers were staying in those localities. a clean town, then a town where the piped water is there in every home, parks were there. Another major feature of his governance was education, the school education, the municipal education. The syllabus that was framed was made nationalistic. Earlier, the syllabus was made by the British colonial administration which used to pay salaries to the teachers. So the control over those teachers, the control over the funding, the finance aspect, and the control over the syllabus through which the Indian minds, the students of Indian minds were colonized. Patel successfully decolonized this one important area of the municipality, that was the schools, where the students from the younger age had their nationalistic syllabus. The teachers were under the control of the municipality, where the Indians were the chairman of the municipal board or the sanitary committee. So, a school was another important aspect where we find that Patel left his imprint. The fourth one where we find that Patel left his imprint was some of the beneficiaries, the elite section, who used to not pay taxes, the property taxes, or even the water, the cantonment nearby, the military cantonment nearby, where the water was being supplied at a very nominal rate, and the money for which was to be paid by the Indians. So he asked the cantonment to pay the entire money that they use, and with not a nominal rate, but with the market rate or the rate on which the other Indian citizens are paying the money for the benefits. And he succeeded. Imagine a situation in 1920s, 24, where the military cantonments are being challenged, ICS officer is being challenged, his rulings, etc. And Shildi was removed because he had favored one gentleman who was cheating the municipality. Patel prepared a strong case taking into account these eyewitnesses and details and challenged the ICS officer. Remember, challenging an ICS officer, a symbol of the colonial administration, and the colonial administration being forced to remove him. That was something unparalleled in those years in 1920s. Only Patel could do it. In order to make my presentation on Patel's ideas of governance more clear, I must put a sharp position in comparison to when Nehru or Rajendra Prasad were in the municipality. Nehru was in the municipality of Allahabad in 1920s. Rajendra Prasad was in Patna. These two gentlemen, the future leaders, the Prime Minister and the President, they resigned out of frustration, blaming the colonial administration or the bureaucracy because they were not functioning as per the desire of these Indian leaders. Whereas Patel did not resign. Patel rather forced the ICS officer to leave. He was to be removed, and even the military cantonment was challenged. So instead of resigning and leaving the responsibility, once elected, till he finished his job, Patel never resigned. He never ran away from the responsibility. He took it as a challenge, finished it. So this condition of fight to the finish, this condition of governance, which is of which this trait of fight to the finish, once a person takes the responsibility, we find till 1948, 49 or 50 till he died. It was It could have been Patel. It was Patel who unified this country. India that exists today on the map is because of Patel. Two of the states, particularly this area, Jammu and Kashmir, and the China issue that we find today, where where the Nehru's problems, had Jammu and Kashmir be given the complete freedom, not taken away from the purview of Patel, the problems of Jammu Kashmir could have been sorted out. And Jammu and Kashmir that we see on the map, the complete Jammu and Kashmir, that could have been an integral part of India, not occupied by Pak. And the problems of Tibet that we find and the border of LAC, that even after 1948-50, 2 to 3 generations that we have suffered after 47, that would have been probably sorted out. So this trait of governance, this determination, this will to sort out the problem was visible in his municipal years when he was the president of the sanitary committee and then president of the Ahmedabad municipality. So a school one, then plague, then flood, then electricity, cleanliness and cantonment, and the challenge from the civil administration. We find 4 or 5 issues where his leadership and his methods of governance are visible, where he lifts his imprint. The other part that we find is, or his methods was consultation, taking the staff, the citizens and his colleagues into confidence, then seeking solution from the citizens, involving the citizens in the governance. So democratic process, application of democratic process. He was not afraid of criticism. This is another important aspect of governance. If someone, he doesn't want a goody-goody, smiley kind of image and not sorting out the problem. So he was not afraid of criticism. If the criticism was genuine, if it was supportive, or if it was helpful in sorting out the problem, he was willing to learn from those criticisms. But though just for the sake of criticism, out of jealousy, he didn't care for that. In fact, he many times confronted the critics. He inquired from them, sought solution. One example I'll give you to explain my point. Old Ahmedabad had become highly congested. So there used to be a persistent traffic problem in 1920s when he was the chairing the sanitary committee, or when he had become the chairman of the municipal board. So he removed the wall which was the impediment in the expansion of the road. So he removed the wall of old fort area, and then he widened the road so that the traffic problem could be sorted out. And in order to acquire the land outside the fort, he consulted the peasants, gave them the remuneration at the market rate of the cost of the land. So this was something new, first time happening, that the land is being acquired of the peasants are being consulted, and they are being paid at the market rate, the cost of the land. And then those citizens of the old Ahmedabad town, whose houses were demolished to widen the roads, so the further land was acquired from the peasants. The residents were encouraged to form their cooperative housing society. So first time in 1920 a cooperative housing society was formed, and there those residents who were affected by these demolitions of their homes, they were shifted to that place. It was such a noble, unique technique that he had developed, that even some of the citizens, prominent citizens or officials, came from Bombay to study the impact or the policies of Sardar Patel. So his imprint had a wide impact. The flood that I talked about in this program had its another left an imprint on the citizens of Gujarat in particular, and not only of Ahmedabad. In fact, he supplied on his call the business houses who donated the money, donated more, in fact, the grains, the food packets, the tents. Some of them who thought to that by donating the money the problem could be sorted out. He requested them, in fact, instead of donating the money, the grains could be or tent could be supplied to the victim. So within a week or 10 days, the impact of the flood was minimized, and it was far beyond Ahmedabad. In fact, it went up to Baroda, etc., the beneficiaries, and he created a voluntary group. So always a voluntary group ready to help the people, the citizens of Gujarat. So this was something new and unique of the time, that a leadership commanded the respect and the support, wide support in Gujarat. So these were some of the lessons that we can learn from Patel's municipal years for the 10 years, from 1917 to 1928. In 1923, approximately for 1 year, the application of the Municipal Act was suspended, but when again it was restored from 1924, he had become the president of the municipal board, and then some other measures he took over that we have discussed. First as a chairman of the sanitary committee, and then as a municipal board. So here I end my first topic, and the learning experience of governance from Sardar Patel during the initial years. But simultaneously, he had also moved into the national politics from 1920 onwards. But he did not leave Ahmedabad municipality almost for 10 years, while simultaneously doing the service of the Congress, of the nation, while participating in the non-cooperation movement, and later on in the civil disobedience movement. Thank you very much.